Everything is personal right here. Everything is personal right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Everything is Personal. And today, our guests are Kevin Pattah and Mike Khemmoro. How's it going, guys?
Hey, Len, thanks for the invite.
Yeah, appreciate you guys being on, man. Appreciate you guys being on. So, cannabis has been a huge part of my life since probably I was 14, maybe, something like that. So I wanted to understand sort of the journey that inspired you to get into the cannabis industry. And we'll start with Kevin first.
Oh, it's a great question. I'll start, how about from the very beginning when cannabis was first introduced to me.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like when I was born in the womb and all that stuff. The very beginning. No. I don't know how far back you want to
go. So we're going as far back as, freshman year, 15-year-old teenager sitting in English class, and some Canadian snowboarder opens this bag of weed and just starts whiffing it my way while I'm reading my English book in class. And I'm like, oh my God, what is that? Is that like a skunk? What's going on here? It freaked me out. He's like, no, shh. I was like, calm down. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, he's like, yeah, it's weed, dude. You never seen weed? I'm like, well, what is weed? And it's like, I had no clue, totally no clue. And, it sparked my interest because I was like, what is this? Right. And from there, I grew a passion for it, right? I smoked, obviously. And, my curiosity was running wild, and I was really interested in it. And I remember smoking a few times. Nothing ever happened to me. And then like my third or fourth time, if I recall, I finally felt the effects. And then from there, I always had an interest in it. And once it legalized back in 2008, I was even more intrigued, right? To see it go from being illegal for so long and scrutinized for so long, and finally being legal. I mean, I was very surprised. Like, it was a total culture shock, and it didn't. I didn't get into it until like a year and a half, 2 years later, because I was still a little skeptical, and I was still a little concerned that, the paranoid side of me was, hey man, I can still get in trouble for this. I don't really understand what's going on with it, right? And as things started to open up a little bit, and I started to see more people do it, I got excited, and that's when I started my first grow operation, right? And this is back in 2010. So this is like, in comparison to today, I mean, today, the cannabis industry has been modernized. I mean, there's so much information out there for everyone. I like to say that, when I started in 2010, it was like, in comparison to, the dinosaurs just going extinct, right? We're using magnetic ballast, and, we're growing, genetics from Europe. What was that, Mike?
Adjust the wings,
and zero education. You're reading Ed Rosenthal books and whatnot, trying to figure out how to grow. And I failed.
The forums. Remember the forums?
Oh, the forums. I mean,
I did the same thing. I used to have a closet grow, and it's funny. When I met Ed the first time, I had him sign the book that I used to use to try to help me learn how to grow in my closet. I have a brown thumb. That was never my forte. But no, that's great. Mike, what's your story when it comes to your relationship with cannabis early on?
Honestly, it's very similar. I got
you're a Canadian. You had a Canadian guy too that with some.
No, my guy was American, but he definitely baptized me, and it didn't take me a couple of times to feel the effects. I mean, I got high the first time, probably laughed more than I ever had at that point in my life, and conversations were flowing, and I was always very much an introvert, so it was a good way to find community and like-minded people. And there was nothing better than sitting in a car with a couple friends, listening to some good music, smoking, and just like vibing. It was very, very different than than alcohol at the time. And obviously I wasn't old enough to enjoy alcohol, but everybody did in high school. And it was just something I aligned more with. And, it's very similar to Kevin's story. Michigan passed a medical program in 2008. At that time, I had a mentor. I mean, for lack of a better word, family friend, and he was much older than me. So I used to just follow this guy around, and whatever he did, I was just like a bright-eyed, wide-eyed kid that was looking for opportunity. So he started growing cannabis, and I kind of chased his tail for 2 years, picking up and learning everything that I could. I didn't even really realize I was doing that. I was just helping. But things progressed, and I ended up having my own caregiver grow as well. Did that for a very, very, very long time. And once everything changed in Michigan, again, after the medical program, me and Kevin were having long talks every night, every day. Hey, we got to get in this. We were here, to Kevin's point, when the dinosaurs were kind of still walking around. It'd be a shame we've put in 5-6 years at this point and we don't end up legitimate. We were not gonna take that sitting down or be excluded from partaking. We felt like we were a small but big part of the inception, right? It wasn't easy to look past the risk in the beginning and choose to lay the groundwork for cannabis. After especially now, like all these big guys and big conglomerates and big companies are in it. It's way different back then. So yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's come such a long way, and I've never had this kind of feeling that I would be the grower. Like growing wasn't really my passion. But well, first of all, you guys knew each other. How did you guys meet? You were friends for a while. Like, how did you guys come across
Go
each
ahead, Kev.
I think you should take the lead on that, Mike. It's your story.
Well, first of all, he married my sister. So we're brothers-in-law,
Yeah.
How'd
you feel about that?
met
Just tell me. He's not even listening. Don't even worry about it.
Well, I dated his sister. I think I dated Mandy before we met, right? Or it was just
you
like
dated
right
her
around.
Yeah. What was it, like a year or two? Year and a half, maybe?
It's been so long. I wouldn't know. I think I had been dating her for probably like 6 months before she's like, all right, I'm gonna introduce you to my family. I think it was about 6 months into it. But either way, a year and a half. It's been 16 years. So go ahead, go finish up.
Yeah, first time we meet, we're playing in like a neighborhood poker game, right? Was that like
Yeah.
some lounge, a bunch of random guys that everybody's like loosely affiliated with each other. Oh, we'll play poker, blah blah blah. I think it was like a $50 buy-in or $100 buy-in. At the time, it's a lot of money, still is. And me and him are just cleaning up the table. It's just like we're both the big stacks on the table. Game's going on for like 3 or 4 hours. And it finally just comes to a head. And I think I had full house, queens full. And I think on the turn or the river, another king popped out. And I was just like, I know you have pocket kings. And you're dating my sister, don't lie to me, Kevin. He's like, I have it. And I was like, you know what? I'm okay with you winning. I just need to know. So I think you have it, and I'm still going to call. And he did end up having it, but we just hit it off, man. We have very, very similar backgrounds. We're from the same community. He went to work with his dad when he was 12, 13, 14 years old, supermarkets. I did the same thing. He was in cannabis and I was in cannabis, but completely unaffiliated for like 5-6 years, and we always wanted to work together and we never did, because during that time, you kind of see like being young, you think, oh, you have the best intentions with everything. Every relationship's going to work out. Every business partnership's going to work out. I think we were kind of blessed to take our lumps separately so that when we finally did meet together, it was like magic. He compliments me, and I'd like to think I compliment him in every single way, where like our strengths and weaknesses align, you know.
Yeah, I think that's super important because, you know, especially in the cannabis business, you're dealing with, you know,
Cash.
cash, lack of trust, some
Mhm.
shady characters here and there. You know, I went through, you know, plenty of lumps as well. And you're absolutely right, Mike. When you make a decision that you're going into business with somebody, you don't expect that. But you also have to think about that you're going to business with people who are, and not you guys necessarily, but people who are criminally minded because you had to be because you're coming from the, you know, the dark ages of cannabis. You have to,
Right.
you're slinging, you know, bags and all that stuff. So, wanted to ask you guys about this notion of the immigrant mentality and how much that plays a role in, you know, just success, but also relationships. Because I really believe that, you know, I'm an immigrant also. As you know, Kevin and I were speaking prior to this, but I think there is a certain difference that people who come to this country, they don't take it for granted, and there's this different work ethic and a different level of trust that I would have with people who are also, you know, of that mindset. What are your thoughts on that? You guys can,
Yeah.
whoever wants to go first.
So a little bit about our background, and I was telling you, and you know, we're Chaldean is what our ethnicity is, or race, as you will, and pretty much to easily put it, we're Mesopotamian, Neo-Babylonian. We speak Aramaic or Neo-Aramaic, and we're originally from Nineveh, and before it all turned into Iraq, right? We're Catholic, Christian, Chaldean people from northern Iraq, minority group, and a majority of us immigrated to Detroit. That's the largest population in America, and then I'd say the second largest population would be San Diego. And a little bit about the Chaldeans. You know, the Chaldeans, 60% of Chaldeans own their own business, and 40% of Chaldeans own multiple businesses. So when you talk about the work ethic of, you know, immigrants, and it's the American dream, right? You know, the Chaldeans, the reason why they all immigrated to Detroit as well, Henry Ford gave them that dream, right? The $5 a day wage, right? And when they're, you know, talking to their family back home, they're, you know, telling them how wonderful it is in Michigan and how great it is in Detroit. And
Except for the
one
shitty
thing,
weather.
yeah, except for the, I mean, yeah,
They forgot
talk
to tell
about,
you that.
yeah, they did. Right. I mean, it's a total culture shock, right? Because over there, that's like the most fertile land in the world, right?
Right.
Fertile soil, and you know, it's obviously dry. It's a perfect climate for growing. But mountains, totally different. Michigan's flat, green, but you know, rains or snows. It's just crappy weather all year round. I mean, you're from the Midwest, you know, or at least you're from the East Coast. It's close enough, and you know, similar weather. We share the same weather pretty much. And yeah, they forgot to tell us that. I wish they would have went to San Diego. No, I'm just joking.
Exactly.
But you know, it's the American dream, you know, and it's still alive. And you know, our parents moved here to give their children a better life, right? And I think that, you know, when you live in another country and you experience what it's like to be impoverished and to not have the opportunity that you have here, when you know, you come here with the mentality as I'm going to work my butt off, right? And I'm going to save every dollar, and I'm going to invest every dollar. And you know, that's where I pick up my work ethic, is from my father, right? And he's always had that mentality. Back home, my family, they were farmers. They were poor farmers, and you know, they didn't really seek to make a big profit. You know, and that's kind of the farmer mentality. They're just really good people, and they want to help. And so, you know, my father, I mean, when he immigrated to America, you know, he told me a story. He's like, you know, I took only one day off a year, and he's at Christmas. And, you know, I looked at him like, wow, Pop, like, I don't know how you could possibly do something like that. That's, you know, and for him, it was, you know, I'm working to help my family, and I'm working to give them a better life. And that was the mentality for, you know, that was the mentality of our community, right? Is, work your butt off and invest and, give yourself your family a better life, and also raise your children to have the same mentality. And, Mike and myself we're blessed, because our fathers, although, they did good for themselves, I wouldn't say they're well off, but I would say they did very good for themselves coming here with just a shirt on their back.
Yeah, definitely
And
achieved the American dream. 2 words in
yes,
English,
you're right.
paid off house,
And
did pretty well.
they did a very good job of raising Mike and myself um to be hardworking providers, right? And
Your parents were in the supermarket, right? Was that your
so yeah, yep. So, my dad when he go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and Mike, I'm gonna ask you the same question because I have a dilemma myself, and I don't know if you guys have kids or not. So I'm an immigrant. I'm the son of immigrants, obviously. My daughter, who's 20 now, she's in college and she goes to Berkeley. And I think that the work ethic that was instilled in me, I may have not done the same for my daughter. She's a very hard worker in terms of school. She was the valedictorian of her class and all that stuff. But, I didn't make her bag groceries. I didn't do a lot of the things that you guys did. So I wanted to see how that work ethic of actually starting with you're sweeping the floor, even though I own this place, you're going to start where I started, kind of thing. What I didn't do, which now my daughter, right before I got there, she's like, Dad, I took a tally. You owe me like 300 something dollars because I said I was going to give her something. I owe her. I'm like, mother, are you fucking serious? I owe you? I said, my card is on your Uber, or it's on your Amazon, all that stuff. You owe me. You owe me for everything.
Just go swipe the 300 I owe you. You already got my card at this point.
I went wrong somewhere, so I'm trying to fix it. So that's why I have this discussion with you guys, and because your parents did the right thing, and I'm trying to get it back.
So I'm going to tell you this: for the sons, it's tough love. For the daughters, they're spoiled, right? Because they're the daughters, and that's their baby. So I can't be upset at your situation. I can only embrace it. I don't have a daughter. I've got 4 boys. Mike's got a son on the way as well. So and I
You
can tell
definitely spoil Mandy.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a prerequisite.
I'll tell you, for my father, just because I was the owner's son didn't make me the boss, at all. And I started from the very bottom, and I never made my way to the top. I was never at the top as far as in my father's organization. I
More
left
of a placeholder.
Yes.
I
left at one point to go start Mango because I was so inspired to, I was an entrepreneur, right? And I had so many ideas, and I wanted to get out there in the real world and be able to, execute on some of these ideas. And, it's really hard to do that when you're in the shadow of your father's footsteps. And I would have loved to continue in the grocery business. But I just had such a deep passion for the cannabis industry, and I loved it. I mean, I have a long history with it, right? I mean, weed has been a big part of my life. I mean, I got sent away, to boarding school for getting caught with cannabis by my father. So, it's, me and my dad, we joke about it, right? It's like, hey, Pa, do you remember when you shipped me off to boarding school when you caught me with all that weed? And we laugh about it today. In the grocery stores, I started from the bottom, bagged groceries, then, packed, stock shelves, cleaned products, cleaned the shelves, mopped floors, of course, for a very long time. That never ever stopped, right? And a lot of that came from till today, I'll still clean toilets and clean up. And, that's something that my father taught me, is to always set the example. If they see the boss just chilling, laid back on his phone, this, that, then, they're going to think that it's okay to do the same thing too. And if they see that, you're a hardworking boss and you really care, and you also care about your staff, well, then they're going to be a mirror of you, and they're going to follow by example.
That's good advice. Yeah. What about you, Mike?
Well, I kind of want to circle back to the immigrant mentality and how it's kind of it's probably one of the biggest competitive advantages that anybody could have. And I really think when I try to parse out why it's that way, obviously it's not, hey, you were born in a different place and that's the sole reason. Geography is not playing that big of a role. I think what happens is when you get a big migration group of people to a new land, new language, new culture, they they hunker down even more together than they normally would, right? So those intercommunal relationships play a bigger role. And it's like expected to, hey, I'm going to work with my brother-in-law, or I'm going to work with my brother, I'm going to pull my first cousin in with me. Hey, you don't have anything going on for yourself? Come join the team, help us build something special. Um, and I think that's what's helped us grow this thing to where we got it at now. And honestly, when you look at non immigrants, that mentality is like almost the complete opposite. Like, don't work with your family. Go into business for yourself. Working with family's trouble, or all those things. And I'm sure those things are true too. Like, we've had plenty of times where we wanted to kill each other. But um, as fast as you get mad is as fast as you have to forgive and come to an understanding.
Yeah, I think community plays a big role. Like my girlfriend's Persian, and that community, and every community. I was born in Lithuania, so it's like sort of the Soviet Union type of immigration. Within that, there's also communities, but I completely agree. I see that there's a lot of competitiveness that's going on in the world, but there's a lack of that communal aspect of you can stand on my shoulders to get up a little bit higher because I'm already here. So I'm going to give you a hand, which I think is missing in non-immigrant communities. I wanted to ask you, both of you, because you talked about your experiences with cannabis, and Mike, you were talking about laughing. I respect and appreciate the what the plant does for people, but you guys talked about the medical aspects and starting in with a medical program. And so besides the I'll call it the adult use aspects of the plan, where you can laugh and you can have fun, and there's recreational aspects to it. What is your connection to the medicinal aspects of cannabis, if any?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go first. And, for me, I have ADD. So it definitely helps, depending on what I'm smoking, of course. But, my indicas at night definitely help me mellow out and really help me open my mind to more possibilities, right? And really get into deep thought about, what the next move is, or, what's the next marketing play we're going to make, or what's the next big splash market that we're going to hit. um that's always been a great reason I've always connected with cannabis, with right, and on the medicinal side. And I would also say on the adult use side, it's always been my first choice of drug, right? I've never been into any hard drugs. I've never really been a drinker. Like, I'll have drinks casually at restaurants every now and then, but I'm always going to reach for a joint first, and that's just, how I've been. So, yeah, Mike, how about you?
Well, when I think about cannabis and as far as like memorable experiences with it, obviously we went over the first time and the giggles and the fun stuff. But another one that really sticks out because all of them tend to melt together. The nightcap joints become very ritualistic, so they're all similar. But um, you know, I was out here for a couple of years, and my grandpa was diagnosed with cancer. He didn't have that much time left, and when you move a couple of states away and you go to start a business now, like, you know, I went from seeing him a couple times a week going to work with him to once every 3-4 months, and I think I saw him maybe once or twice, and then boom, cancer diagnosis. And he was a church going guy, very traditional lawyer from back home, judge at one point, which is very crazy for a religious minority in Iraq. But so you can imagine his stance on cannabis. But my mom told me, bring something back with you when you come. And I was so shocked. He did not protest at all. We took edibles together, a couple of sublinguals, the whole 9 yards, a lot of Mary's medicinal stuff. And we had, I mean, that's my last memory, real memory with my grandpa, I don't think it would have been anything as special without the cannabis aspect of it.
Yeah, you build a connection. It's funny, Kevin, that you're mentioning about boarding school. So my parents would catch me. My parents ended up calling the cops, trying to have me arrested, and that kicked me out of the house. I was in my late
Wow.
teens. And the funny thing is, full circle. Like, we didn't speak for years. I speak every day, and now they take products that my company has patents on, and my dad's like my advocate. If someone's back hurts or somebody, call Len, he can help you, kind of thing. So it's funny how they came also old school. My dad never knew the difference between like heroin and cannabis. He kind of put it all in the same thing.
Exactly. Categorized it in the same exact thing my mother and father did. And, I don't blame them for doing what they're doing. They didn't know any better. And actually, they sent me to a really good school. So I was actually really grateful for it, because it really helped shape the guy I am today too, as well. Right. It was also a character and leadership building program that was also part of the educational piece, and gave me a lot of the tools that I have today and is helping me today. So I thank them for that. I even won a state championship in football. It was a great experience that I could never take away. Right. Had a great time. And it's definitely funny to see how,
Full circle.
Full circle, how it went from this is being heroin to, like, the other day we were barbecuing and I was smoking a joint, hanging out with my dad, it was, totally normal, right?
Have you smoked? Have you smoked with your dad?
No, my dad he's never had a cigarette in his life. He probably has 1 or 2 drinks a year. I mean, this
very
guy
stoic.
Oh yeah, he's just, workaholic, just wants to focus on his work, focus on family. And
I think he still takes one day off a year, right, Kevin?
Pretty much, if that he's one of those kind of guys. And he's always been a real provider and a great role model, great role model.
Mike, how do your parents feel about cannabis?
Oh, it's a very similar story. I mean, I can't count the amount of times my dad flushed down an ounce or a half ounce that he found in my room or the house or my car. It's, what are you doing? You're fucking up, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if I could cuss or not, but he's tried to scare me straight a couple times. He's took me in the courthouse, sat me in front of his cop buddy, tell him what path he's going on, and blah, 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 and all these things, and it's crazy what it's turned into. And I feel very blessed and lucky to still have my dad here, so that he could see that he was able to see, like, look, it worked out. It might have been my own special unique way, our own special unique way, but it's a beautiful thing.
When you guys got together on a business aspect, what was the initial vision for Mango Cannabis, and sort of who was the person who brought the other one into the fold? Like, how did that happen?
Kevin definitely brought me into the fold. So he was actively pursuing a license in Michigan, and I think, Kev, you missed by a couple points, and it was like a merit-based application.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, to add what you were saying, Mike, in Michigan, like Michigan first passed the second bill that overtook the caregiver program pretty much, and actually licensed dispensaries, processors, and cultivation facilities. the state of Michigan and also the municipalities were extremely strict. I mean, Lansing, I think, was the first municipality to actually write an ordinance. And, at that time, I wrote an application with some partners, and, it cost us, it cost us over $250,000 to submit this application. It was very expensive, and we couldn't afford it at that time. It was just really hurt us a lot. And it sucked everything out of me. And, long story short, we didn't win. We lost it by a few points. And at that time, everyone that lost was suing the municipality of Lansing, and it was just a big nightmare. And at that time, my attorney that wrote the application for us had mentioned Oklahoma, and she wrote applications all over the country, and she's like, "Hey, Oklahoma just opened up, and you can get a license there fairly easy if you want to take a look at that. I know this is tough. This is tough that you lost here, and it's going to be like this for a very long time. It's going to be very hard to acquire a license, and even
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Another thing too is once you got into the application process originally in Michigan, you didn't get an answer quickly. So you were kind of in a holding pattern for months on end, only to be heartbroken at the end of it, right? And when she called Kevin, she's like, "Hey, they have a 2-week turnaround time. They have to tell you yes or no." So that was a big thing for us.
Yeah, it was. And at that time, I remember, me and Mike were hanging out, eating some barbecue, smoking a joint, and I was like, "What do you think of Oklahoma?" And he's like, "Oklahoma." And we're both like scratching our heads, like, "I don't know, man."
A decent basketball team. So
yeah, we're like, when I was thinking of Oklahoma, I was thinking like, Iowa, the same place I went to boarding school. So I'm like, man, is this going to be like Iowa cornfields and, just nothing there? Like, this is going to be, and no disrespect to Iowa, but I love it. They had some beautiful cities there, but just wasn't that great, right? Definitely not a place where I wanted to open up the first Mango. And you can't judge a book by its cover, right? So, me and Mike were like, "Hey, we got to go there and see this with our eyes and see what Oklahoma looks like." And, that's when we flew to Oklahoma, of course. And, the Oklahoma turned out to be beautiful. And we're like, "Wow, this is, a beautiful state and great people, very nice people and very clean." And, the Oklahoma City was beautiful. Tulsa was beautiful. And it was thriving and growing. And I think more importantly, what me and Mike discovered is Oklahoma is a great market for an inspirational entrepreneurs like ourselves to go and expand. And the reason why I say that is, Oklahoma to me, and through my analysis of it, through my years, I view Oklahoma as a blue water market. It's a developer's dream, right? Because there aren't a lot of really good operators. They want operators to come in that have big dreams and have big goals, that want to develop and grow the state. So they're looking for that, right? Versus a market like Detroit and Michigan, which I would call a red water market, where you have a shark biting into another shark, and everyone's bleeding, and everyone's just fighting for a couple pennies at the end of the day. So it was a big ocean for us, and we felt like we could dominate there.
So when you just so I can reflect on what you said, and
yeah, please do.
So you knew you wanted to do this. You got the call about it'll take 2 weeks, whatever, to get your license. You sort of dusted yourself off. You picked yourself up, and then you reached out to Mike and said, "Hey, I have this opportunity. Let's do this together," kind of thing. And how did you decide sort of what roles and how was all that going to work?
I remember the conversation, Kevin. I know.
Go ahead.
He told me about it, and we kicked it around. Hey, good idea, and obviously it wasn't like the second we heard about it, we hopped on the flight. It was me. I was calling Kevin. I was like, "Hey, what's going on with that opportunity in Oklahoma? You still want to do it? Let's do it. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I'll go out there. Blah, blah, blah. I'll do anything we need to do,
Yeah.
I pretty much signed up for everything without even knowing what the rules were going to be. I just knew that me and Kevin could work good together. I knew that we were family now, and I just knew we needed an opportunity. It didn't matter where it was, and what's kind of crazy is like Kevin's analogy about the blue water and red water. Oklahoma is actually the most competitive state there is when it comes to Canada. But what happened is I think we got in a competitive advantage because from our time in Michigan, we got to see there was a short 2-year window over there, Kev. Remember when all those dispensaries opened up in Detroit and there was like 500-600 of them in just the city of Detroit. And we kind of got to see man, there's a beautiful storefront right here, ample parking, checks all the boxes, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a guy 2 miles down the street or a mile down the street and his parking lot's full. And this guy doesn't seem like he's seeing a couple people a day. Well, what's the difference? What's going on here? So we kind of got to observe what made some of these.
Yeah. What is that difference?
In my opinion, is I think people go into cannabis a lot, especially the retail side, and they try to dictate to the market what they should be buying, as opposed to the market dictating what they want, right? And that's been our philosophy from day one. Is if you're a legitimate company, a legitimate brand, doesn't matter how big you are, you could just be starting out, or it could be an established MSO. We'll do business for you with you and offer your product to our clientele. And at the end of the day, it's up to the patient and the end consumer to decide, hey, this product is worth a damn, right?
Yeah. So what was the original vision for Mango, and how did you guys come up with the name?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Those great stories, man. I love the questions. Love them. So, it took a while to come up with the Mango name. Let's just say that. Months on end.
Months.
I mean, we were almost done building the store and we didn't have a name. We're like, when are we going to get a name?
It's going to be called Avocado.
We could not. I mean, we just didn't. I was extremely picky throughout the entire process. I really wanted to ensure that it was something unique and not original or generic like everything else that's out there.
Green this, Kush that.
Yeah, I really wanted.
Yeah, go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, we really wanted something that we could, it is not directly related to the industry, but has some relation to it in some sort of fashion. And
it could be a standalone brand where you can have it anywhere on any shelf, not necessarily just in the dispensary. It's got legs to grow into anything.
I agree completely. And Mango. So the funny things about mangoes. Well, let me at least tell you how we came up with the name Mango. So we were long day of work, obviously, working with the construction guys and talking to all the vendors and working on all the stuff. We got home and this is a bachelor pad. You have a couple guys in here, and we don't have much to eat, and I had bought a case of mangoes from Costco, and it's like pretty much all we had left, sitting on the counter. And Mike and I, had just, smoked the joint of something really strong, some OG. I don't remember exactly, but I remember being really high, and I just had the munchies. And I saw the case of mangoes, and that's all we had. And I said, "Man, these look, that's it. We're eating mangoes." And I remember ripping one open and biting into it like an apple, and I'm like, "Oh my God, just juice is just coming out." I'm like, "This is so delicious." And I'm like, "Mike, you got to eat one. Just come try this right now. It's so good." And, a light bulb sparked in Mike's head. And he's like, "Kevin, why don't we name the company Mango?" And at first,
I think I told you something about the terpene.
Yeah, at first it didn't hit. And I'm like, Mike, I don't know if I like it. I don't like mango. I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm like, mango? Like, what? No, I don't know if I like it. And he's, no, wait, Kevin, wait.
You ever tell somebody to Google something with such confidence that what you're saying is there? Because Sean kept saying, "Oh, you're wrong. There's no way. That's not true." Blah 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 blah. Google it. Just Google it.
You're talking about myrcene in mango, that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
That influenced it, right? The myrcene being the most dominant terpene found in mangoes, and then also the most commonly found terpene in cannabis.
yeah.
And we're like, oh, and then obviously there's a lot of rumors and oh, if you eat,
Yeah, eat a
mangoes and
mango. It's gonna
yeah.
put you to sleep. That's it. No, you're gonna eat it after eat the whole case of mangoes, probably.
So, we're okay, cool. There's some correlation here. And I had to sleep on it. And then it kind of grew on me, and I said, you know what, I think this is our vibe. This is gonna be a cool theme, and I think it's gonna really resonate with, our fan base and our consumers.
I love the
So
uniqueness of it because you're right, Mike. Like, so I used to have 5 dispensaries called Kush Kingdom back in 2009, 2000. Everything was Kush or green or this and that. And I'm like,
damn,
Yeah.
it's a unique name. It stands out and it's memorable. When you guys had the vision for Mango, like when you planned it and this is what we want it to be, did that vision morph based on you actually getting into it and doing it? Did it change, or did you have like same goal? Now we have to kind of do it a little bit differently because now we're responding to what the market's given us.
oh, it definitely changed 100% without a doubt. I mean, we did not anticipate mango to be what it is today. You know, I mean, we have all the confidence in the world, and we were excited to tackle it. But we were also at the same time, this was our first time running a cannabis retail, so we did not know what to expect, right? Um, and what happened is, we took all the skills that, we had learned over the years in the cannabis space and in retail, working with our families,
Yeah,
and,
retail's retail for the
applied it.
most part.
Yeah. And applied it, to the cannabis dispensary side of things, the retail side of it. And, we were able to build something special. So things started to change, right? And really quickly we decided, like, okay, well, we should really start to take this thing to the next level. Let's start organizing ourselves. Let's start creating
We changed.
SOPs.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
changed too.
we changed as well. Great point.
Yeah,
And
right.
we started to develop SOPs, get more organized, make sure we're on top of all of our compliance and we're setting the example. Spending time with our staff and making sure that we're building a great team. I mean, that is the key to it all, right? Is you got to have a staff that's bought in and believes in the culture and loves the culture and wants to be part of it and wants to treat Mango like it's their baby as well. You know, and Mango treats the staff like their family as well, right? We're all one big family and support system. Um, but on the growth side of it, or the plan, excuse me, let me go back to the plans. It changed everything. Nothing we did not expect to open up, 8 stores, going on 10 stores now in Oklahoma, and operating now in Michigan, New Mexico, and New York. Never expected it to happen more.
It's an amazing story, and you guys are right. Retail is retail in a way, but in cannabis, it it has its own special nuances. So it's not like stacking a shelf in your supermarket. It's a little bit different
No,
because you have other challenges that are unique to the cannabis space. What would you say some of those unique challenges that are strictly, confined to the cannabis space or different than any other business that you would get into? What have you seen?
Yeah. So I would say retail is retail, but I would say the toughest part of this industry that is nothing like traditional retail is the purchasing side of the industry. When you're running a grocery store, when you're running a gas station or a salon or whatever retail, right? The supply chain, the distribution network, everything, for the most part, a lot of that stuff
established.
is established and locked, and there's not a lot of wiggle room when it comes to buying products, right? If you're buying Pepsi or buying Frito-Lay or buying whatever, Conagra Foods and produce and whatnot, for the most part, all the grocery stores are buying it from the same place, and we're all paying right around the same price. You might get a couple cents off for buying in bulk, but that's about it for the most part, unless you're Walmart and you own your own dairy farms and you own this. But in the cannabis space, I would say that this has been the biggest hurdle, and this is what's making and breaking all retailers across the nation, is the purchasing side of it. And if you're not well versed in that aspect, as far as really being a true aficionado of cannabis, or a sommelier, if you will, right, and really knowing genetics and knowing quality and knowing smoke and knowing what the market is paying for that, because it's like a commodity. You're trading. It's you could. I've sat in rooms where vendors have gone from 20 to $10 in a matter of 10 minutes. And that doesn't happen in traditional retail at all. Traditional retail, you could set it, forget it, throw a GM in there, throw everything, and the thing's going to run smooth for the most part, as long as you've got a good staff, you train them, they're following the SOPs. Cannabis, right, in the purchasing side, this is the biggest hurdle that is untraditional, and it's very difficult, and you have to consistently monitor it and be on top of it, especially the quality control as well, right? That's another problem with the industry is, I don't have to worry about when I place my order with Coca-Cola or Pepsi. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna get some watered down Coke, right, or Pepsi. I'm gonna get the product. And unfortunately, in this industry, there's a lot of bait and switches. There's a lot of, hey, oh, look at how great my flower is. Oh, this, that, and you get the delivery and you're like, what is this? This is not what you showed me last week. What happened to that product? Mike, what's been your experience? I know you've probably got something to chime in on.
Nail on the head, honestly. Yeah, it's
I
and
think
when I was saying retail is retail, I was thinking about it more not from our perspective, Kev, but like a customer's perspective.
Yes.
People want to go to welcoming atmospheres. I felt like when we first came out to Oklahoma, especially because it was so new, it was just like a lot of those things weren't paid attention to in a lot of the retail shops that were already open, right? Like they might have not checked all the boxes, like where it was, hey, well, nice lit facility, clean, ample parking, customer service, not, hey man, what do you want? Oh, this smoke's great, blah blah blah, So like I feel like we refined it a little bit, and we brought some traditional retail aspects as far as customer service to cannabis, while still keeping the culture, the vibe, the plant alive at Mango.
I think those are the most important factors. You guys both nailed it, because one of the things that I've been seeing across the country, actually in different parts of the world even, is this difference between people who understand the plant, who are connoisseurs, who can smell it, who understand what it is they're putting on shelves, and then there's a corporate store, right? They may know retail, they may know aesthetics of a store, they may know the customer journey flow, but this is the unique aspect of cannabis. It's the plant, and it changes. And, obviously, if you're buying, gummies, and even that, like you can't rely on people's labels, you can't rely on test results, you can't rely on any of that stuff. So understanding being a connoisseur is really important. I had these discussions with a lot of people who are in the executive position in some of these companies. They don't even consume cannabis, and they don't have any relationship with the plant. And I'm like, well, I think that's a prerequisite. And they were telling me, no, you just have to respect the plan, understand its benefits. And I was like, yeah, but it's what you guys just said is sort of the secret sauce and a huge differentiator between, retailers who get it, who can smell it, and who can say, I don't care what the results say. I smell mercy in it, as we were just saying. I know it's there. It's not what you told me it is. And that's, I think, that missing element that really sets people apart.
And to add on to that, Len, consistency.
Yeah.
It's so hard in this industry. You want to talk about the easiest thing to be consistent with is gummies. And, even that, a lot of vendors are not consistent. Sometimes the texture is off from the last batch, or it doesn't taste the same. They use a different batch of oil that just doesn't taste the same. And, for vapes as well, and for pre-rolls and for flowers, and comparable, if you're a cigar smoker, if you're used to smoking a certain cigar, it's the same almost same every time you buy it. Or same thing for alcohol or wine. You know what you're getting when you get a Tito's or when you get, a Moet and champagne or, and then in the food industry, right? When you're buying, food off the shelf for the most part, when it's packaged, if you're familiar with the product, you're expecting a consistent product. And for the most part, 99% of the time, you're getting that consistent product. That's something this industry really lacks is that consistency time and time again, pumping out that consistent product the way it's supposed to come out.
Yeah, 100% agreed. What has been sort of your most effective marketing strategy that you see that works over and over as you have this pattern opening up a new store and like because I watch like different retailers, MSOs. Like I think Cookies used to do a really good job because Burner has this media opportunity where he can go create lines and build all that, and he has maybe some people in the hip hop industry to come out, so now you have a celebrity aspect, and then other brands are take it a different way because that's their sort of niche. What has been your guys' niche at Mango?
Yeah, and to add on to what you were saying before I answer the question, for Burner and Cookies, I think what Burner has done as far as branding Cookies has been tremendous.
Amazing. Masterclass.
And he branded himself, right? He found this strain, this wonderful strain, and he took it and he branded it, and he branded himself too. And
He branded a color, Kevin.
He is Cookies.
Color.
When I think of Cookies, I think of Burner. I don't think of I can't think of Cookies without Burner, Jigga, even Stravinsky, right?
Yeah.
These guys, all the original guys that really curated that whole industry and really, they inspired all of us to create brands like them, right? You could love them or hate them. I know they have lots of lovers and they have lots of haters, and it is what it is. You don't make your way to the top without haters. It gives you some fuel to keep going. But I praise them. I think they did a great job. For us, unfortunately, we didn't have the luxury of being able to brand Kevin or Mike. and I don't think I could have done. Yeah, I don't think we look good on billboards and whatnot. For us in Oklahoma, we didn't have a lot of money in the beginning, and we started with very little. And we came a long way, but we started with very little. And at that time, before we had a website, before we had social media, before we had anything, the only form of marketing we did have was weed maps. And, I give weed maps credit for, helping us, right? And, there are some states that weed maps is, a very strong platform. And there are other states where, the user interaction isn't as much. But in Oklahoma, was a weed map states. And in the beginning, it was the key for us and helped us propel ourselves. And from there is when we really started to branch off our marketing and really start to form that department and bring in key people like Brad, our creative director, who is really the face of the entire marketing team and everything we've done, all the branding, all the images, all the characters, everything.
And investing in that early.
Yes, and Brad has been with us since day one, and just a super talented artist, great guy, down to earth, loves what he does, loves cannabis, loves Mango, and he's done a great job with our branding. And then from there we branched off, right, and we're trying a little bit of everything, right? We've started to, and Len and for us in the cannabis space, and I'm sure you're aware of it already, it's super hard to market, right? Because we're limited on a federal basis. Can't market on social media, really, besides X. Is starting to open that up a little bit. So we've been dabbling with a little bit of programmatic ads, billboards. We've seen mailers do a little bit here and there. They're show you some progress, but that really hits that older demographic, and it's kind of a dying marketing tactic, as you will. Social media, we've tried to, at least try to just advertise Mango, not even advertise a product. Unfortunately, we don't last longer than a month on social media. Everyone takes us down.
Yeah.
And it sucks the life out of you because you put so much hard work into it, and like we're on our like 15th, 20th account. We stopped counting at this point.
Yeah.
So it's been some hurdles. Mike, you want to add anything to that?
I think, it's kind of funny. It tails into our conversation yesterday, Kev. You know,
Yeah,
um, I
it
think
does.
the most effective thing with marketing is the consistency of it. And I think a lot of times when new businesses or new ventures start marketing campaigns, there's an expectation that it's going to bear fruit right away. And it just, unfortunately, it doesn't. Sometimes you get lucky, it does, but for the long haul, it doesn't. You just have to be consistent with it, you know. And obviously, we're in an industry now that's kind of compressing and it's getting hyper competitive, and everybody's looking for ways to save costs. And marketing is usually one of those first things that kind of comes up, right? And I think we did a good job of, when times were good, doubling and tripling down on the marketing. And as times got um, a little bit more competitive and challenging, we did not scale back marketing. And every time that we did, we saw trends that let us know that, hey, this is not the knob you want to be playing with, you know?
Yeah, no, and I agree with both of you, and it's very unique. And my company doesn't touch the plant. I have a genetics company. There's genetic testing. We have an endocannabinoid system test that we patent on, and we would get shadow banned and removed. I'm like, it's the endocannabinoid system. All of you have it. We're not even talking about the plant,
Mhm.
just the system. I completely agree with you, and I think you guys said something really smart, and I just wanted to uh, unpack it a little. There's marketing and then there's branding for brand awareness. So when you're marketing, and even if it's weed maps, you're doing daily deals, you're doing all these different things, but having the consistency that people who are consumers, they know they can rely on you, and associating the brand as you continue to be out there and showing the imagery of the brand, associating that with quality, consistency, that's what people resonate with over time. So the more, and you're right, Mike, it doesn't always bear fruit, right? So you're not like, because people are always looking at KPIs as far as marketing goes. And I always tell,
Mhm.
my teams is like, sometimes there's intangibles. It's not just this campaign yielded this many sales. It's about, I'll give you guys an example of what I'm talking about. There was some sort of cannabis show or with healthcare, and there's a person that was talking, and they're talking about genetic testing for the endocannabinoid system, and I heard people whispering in the crowd, "Oh, that's lens test they're talking about." So I'm not there advertising it. Somebody's talking about it, but because of the brand awareness, it came back and said, "Oh, that's that." So it represents something in people's brains. So I'm glad you guys brought that up because I think it's a really, really important
And
part.
Len, that's the best form of marketing is word of mouth, right? And we've always lived by the motto that, you know, 10 people will see a thousand good reviews, but 1,000 people will see one negative review.
Yeah,
And,
beautifully said. Yeah.
you know,
I'm guilty of it. I
y-
filter the one stars right away.
so that's, I mean, if you look at Mango, I mean, we're 4.95 stars across every platform, pretty much every, and lots of reviews, right? We pride ourselves in making sure that, hey, if you're really happy with our service, mention your team member, give us a review, and or give us feedback.
Yeah.
And if you're having a hard time getting a hold of us, give us feedback through there, and we'll get back to you on it.
Looking ahead, what would you say is the ultimate vision for Mango going forward?
Do this till the day we die.
We've thought about exiting Len and then starting the next project, right? Because I've just got a million ideas, and I'm like, oh man, I want to start a pizza brand. Oh, let's get in the chicken sandwiches are getting pretty cool. Let's make our own chicken tenders and chicken sandwiches now, right? Or oh, let's do this. And I have so many passion projects. I went, I originally I attended a college for culinary and hospitality management, right? I had a deep passion for the culinary industry and hospitality, luxury hotels and fine dining. Just love that, aside from cannabis, right? And there's a lot of hard work and a lot of capital. And at the time I was young and dumb and, didn't really know what direction I wanted to go in, right? Young 20-year-old, just turned 20 and trying to figure life out, trying to figure out my next move. Do I want to work in a restaurant for the rest of my life and, hopefully make it to the top one day? Or do I want to go out and explore and, see what maybe I can become in some other industry? And, cannabis, like me and Mike have talked about it for a long time. Like, what are we trying to achieve with this? Like, is this a legacy brand we're building? Are we going to be sellouts, or are we going to build this and continue the legacy and continue to have this family-owned, employee-owned company, right? And that will live for hundreds of years, if not forever, right? Just like a lot of these brands that you recognize today that have been around forever. And so I think that it would be, an honor to be mentioned in the history books one day as, the founders of Mango. And, 100 years from now, they're talking about us and saying, wow, what a brand they built. That's worldwide. It's all over the world. And we love their products. We love the retail stores and whatnot. That's kind of my thought process. And, you can always take on a passion project, at some later point, right?
Yeah. I love that aspect because too many people ask me, and just in general, what's your exit? What's your exit? I'm like, oh fuck, what are you talking about? My exit is build the world's largest database on efficacy. That's my exit. I want to make sure that people are focused on precision health and wellness, and I'm going to help them do that. What that turns out to be later on, whether it's an M&A, you need to have a strategy to scale, right? At some point you hit critical mass and you got to make some decisions. Do I infuse capital? Do I partner with other people? That kind of stuff. But it never takes away from the mission. The mission is always that's the end goal. That's the exit. And the exit's
Right.
not really an exit. You're just building it because it can last forever. So I completely agree with you guys. All right, so I have some music related questions that I ask all my guests. I'm going to start with Mike first. Do you remember, and if so, the very first concert that you attended?
Oh, first concert. Man, this is gonna be slightly embarrassing, I think. I my first well, I went to a bunch of festivals, so is that what you're asking me, or like specific artists?
Your choice, brother. Whatever you want to.
I went to Lollapalooza a couple of 2 years back to back. I think it was
Did we go together,
08 or
Mike? I
09.
can't remember if we went together.
Second time, yeah.
Yeah,
Second
we
time was
did go
with you.
together. That was fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what was the embarrassing one? Now I'm curious.
Oh, Lana Del Rey.
Why is that
And she's
embarrassing?
good though. I like her.
Lana was
Yeah,
great.
she's
That's
great.
not embarrassing. I love Lana.
Yeah,
I mean, like 270-pound guy, beard. I like Lana Del Rey.
Yeah,
You
so
got a girlfriend, wife gets
you
you
got a
into
soft
it,
side to you, brother.
There you go. My wife drags me to all those concerts. Ellie Goulding, Lana Del Rey. So I had no choice but to love her.
Ken, what was your first concert?
You know what? I think my first concert was also my favorite concert, and it was the Bad Management Tour. Eminem, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent. I think Nate Dogg was there. I think Snoop was there. It was at Comerica Park, and it was. I mean, the whole park
That's the one
was
with Jay-Z too, right?
I don't remember if Jay-Z was. He might have been there. I mean, it was one of the
No, I
coolest
think it was a
shows.
Dog Pound too.
No, yeah. No, this was the Bad Management.
Yeah.
And it was at Comerica Park, and the place was lit. Everyone was smoking. I mean, there was a massive cloud over Comerica Park. I was only like 16 years old, high as, I'm just sitting there out of my mind watching. It was the coolest event, the coolest concert I've ever been to. That was a lot of fun.
Well, what was the last concert you attended, Kevin?
The last concert I attended was Drake, and that was it's been a few years.
Was that with 21 opening up?
I think was 21 when he toured Michigan, and it was at the amphitheater here, and I went with my wife and a few friends.
Yeah, I went with my daughter. That's that one I remember. What about you, Mike? What was the last concert you attended?
I'm pretty sure the last one was a few months ago. I think it was J. Cole and Drake too, in OKC.
Okay, yeah. That was recent.
Yeah.
All right.
I was
So
thinking weekend. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, it
You were
was
saying the
just
weekend?
it was just
Oh.
the thought I was the thought of.
So another music question. Uh, I'll ask Mike first. So for the next year, you could only listen to 5 albums. You don't have to remember the name of the album. You can say a J. Cole album or Drake, whatever it is. What would be those 5 albums?
It's got to be Good Kid, Mad City, man. And just to be truthful, it's probably some of Kanye's early projects. I know it's not like a politically correct thing to say right now, but man, old Kanye, you can't go wrong with that.
Definitely can't. Definitely can't.
Yeah. I have affinity for a lot of local Detroit artists too that I grew up on. Um, just Good Kid, Mad City. One of J. Cole's early albums. I think it was called Simba or something like that. Um, Early Kanye album, and I don't know, but those three for sure.
All right, cool. We'll keep it that. What about you, Kevin?
So I don't know the album names. Well, I mean, some of them I do, but I'll name the artists.
Cool.
Would be Tupac for sure. Tupac, Biggie, Nas, all three of those guys. I'm an old school guy. You got to give me all three of those guys. And I was thinking hard about the last two. And I'm like, man, who are someone I could really pick? And I love Eminem. You can never go wrong with Eminem. So like and a Detroit guy, so I got to add him to the list, of course. I would say my fifth guy would probably be J. Cole. Yeah.
All right. So final question. Go ahead, Mike.
One just hit me, and I can't believe I didn't say it right away, but it's got to be Get Rich or Die Trying, 50
Oh,
Cent.
50. Yeah, that was good. That's a good one. Yeah.
Great album.
I like Jeezy too. Jeezy reminds me of being in high school,
Yes, GG.
selling grams.
Detroit rap, like Blade, some good honorary shout outs. Blade Icewood. I don't know if you heard of Blade Icewood, Detroit rapper.
No.
Yeah, you should listen to some of his stuff, some good old school stuff. You'll like it, I think.
All right, made a note. All right, final question to both of you. I'll start with Kevin. Please describe what your room looked like growing up.
Total mess. But I had a great mother that cleaned after my mess and spoiled me. But yeah, it was a total mess. Definitely was a boy that would throw his shoes when he walked in the house, throw my jacket on the floor, and was messy, right? But my mother taught me to be organized, and as I got older, definitely became more organized and would clean up after myself. So
Did you have any artwork on the walls, anything distinguishing posters or anything like that?
definitely a lot of sports posters. I love basketball and football growing up. So MJ, Kobe was my idol. I loved Kobe.
Yeah.
Tracy McGrady, Barry Sanders, of course. Who else did I have on there? Kurt Warner, loved Kurt Warner growing up too. He was awesome.
Is
Had
that
some
because he
Tupac's
used to bag groceries and you felt inspired
in
by his
Iowa.
journey?
In Iowa, in Hy-Vee
Right.
in Iowa. Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember because I played our state championship game at Northern Iowa University where he went.
Yeah.
So I saw his banner and I was like, what? Kurt Warner went here? I'm like, this is awesome. Yeah, he was definitely a good one. Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
When I was a young kid, it was a lot of Pokemon stuff. My mom's pretty cool about that. I remember having the bed sheets and the comforter and stuff like that. That was cool. But as I got older, yeah, Kobe. I had a couple of sports guys on my walls. I still do. I'm just a big kid now.
Yeah.
You know.
So where can people engage more, find out more about Mango Cannabis or anything else that you want to share where people can reach out?
Kev, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I mean, you can reach us at mangocannabis.com. Hopefully our what's our TikTok account, Mikey? If you know it by top of your mind.
They just made it. I honestly
they
don't know it
switched
off
it
the
up.
top of my head.
Len, I know it's a little embarrassing that we don't know it, but we've gotten deleted so many times. It's just constantly,
I feel you.
it's constantly changing.
Now we'll tag you in all
down
the
here.
stuff. I just wanted to see if there's anything that is specific that you want people to know or reach out or engage in any way. If, so that's cool. Mango Cannabis.
Yeah.
We have a Mango Cannabis subreddit.
Yep, you can reach us on a subreddit. If you look up Mango Cannabis on TikTok or on Instagram or on Snapchat or on what's the other X?
Yeah.
Just search for Mango Cannabis. I don't have the exact username off the top of my head, but Mango Cannabis, you should be able to find us unless we're shadow banned. The best to reach us is mangocannabis.com. You can fill out one of our forms. You could always call it one of our stores. Or you could also reach out to me on LinkedIn if you're interested in getting a hold of me or Mike. Yeah.
And for my audience, I want to thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like and all that other stuff. And I get it. Like, to piggyback on what you guys are saying, the feedback is just some of those amazing stuff. It doesn't have to be all 5 stars and likes. Tell me what it is that you don't like so I can work on doing that. So I really appreciate everybody's feedback, and thank you for buying my book, Making Cannabis Personal, on Amazon or wherever you get books. Guys, I really want to thank you for being on. It's a pleasure. I love what you guys are doing. I always love when real operators in the space are successful and you can leave a breadcrumb trail for the people who are trying to come up now. You guys really set a wonderful example for the industry. So I appreciate you guys being on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lan. We
Thanks.
appreciate the invitation to be on. It was a great show and we enjoyed the conversation. Would love to do it again.
Cool. Will do.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, thanks for sharing your platform.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching and listening. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, share this episode, and hit that bell. Like, comment. I so appreciate that. And check me out on social under Len May or Len May DNA. Find out more on LinkedIn or lenmaycoaching.com. And remember, everything is personal.